So, hey everybody, we're out in the garden. Sorry, I'm just getting the case off phone so it'd be easier for Brooke. Does it look okay? All
Yes.
right. Welcome to In Air's Kitchen. I'm here with Violet. This is going to be my helper. Hop over here, Vi. In our garden, we have a lot of things growing right now. It's been hot and sunny, and everything's really happy. We're going to be doing salads today. I thought this would be a lot of fun to talk about salads, and I think that may seem like a straightforward thing, but I think a lot of salads are terrible, but salads can be really, really yummy. And we're going to talk a little bit about what might make them yummy. And we're starting out here in the garden because I think number one with salads is not about like what protein you're throwing on the greens, but the greens themselves. What do those taste like? And so I think that's really where we should start. If we have really flavorful, beautiful greens, we're gonna have a delicious salad. We've been playing around with greens at Clover, and we're really careful about how we source those, and they're some of the more expensive things that we source on the entire menu. Because of this, I think it makes a huge difference to how a salad tastes. So we're in our garden, and you can see it needs a little bit of weeding and stuff, but this is our salad bed. It has a little more shade than the rest of the garden, which isn't bad for the lettuce. And we have a few different kinds of lettuce. Do you want to hold this, Violet? Oh, I'll just mention, we're going to be talking about, we're going to be going through a particular recipe today, but we're going to be talking about ratios and how to approach and think about salads and dressings. So we might do some other examples later. We're doing a particular example today. But we're also going to talk about tips and tricks. Number one, have a really good colander. You're going to need to wash your lettuce, even if you're buying from the store or farmer's market, CSA, you're going to want to wash it. If you're getting it from your own garden or from a CSA, it might have a little bit of dirt on it. If you're getting it from a grocery store, it may not have dirt on it, but it may have a lot of invisible chemicals on it, so you're going to want to wash it. This is a really cool salad spinner. We actually sell these at the Clover restaurants when they're open because I love it so much. And I feel like if you're going to be cooking with vegetables, you start with this so often, so it's really handy, and I'll show you how this works when we get back in the kitchen. We have some scissors here, and we're just going to pick some of these lettuces. So right here I have some green lettuces. These have a little red fringe on them, and I'm just using my fingers to reach in there to the bottom of the stem, and I'm just pinching them off. So we're going to pick some of this red leaf lettuce. We're going to pick some of this green lettuce. You want to hold that there? And these will continue to produce. So most of these plants I've already pulled a lot of leaves off of, and you can see if you have your own garden, you may already know this, but if you're just getting started, this might be helpful for you. Is you can move through these different lettuce plants and pull some of the outer leaves off of them, and then you sort of distribute what you're pulling, and then you come back and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. Here we have some cilantro that's bolting, and it's fine to eat. It will start tasting more and more bitter as it gets closer to going to seed. This right now, so I'm just tasting it. It doesn't taste overly bitter to me, so I'm going to grab a little bit of cilantro. And a lot of times I'll use a little bit of an herb here or there. And I'm not like trying to make the whole salad taste like cilantro, but I might just bring a little burst of that into a bite. Now we're going to grab, this is a little bit of chard, and you can see this is pretty young, but we have some Swiss chard here. We'll grab a few leaves of that. I think we have broccoli growing in the back here, and I'm just going to grab a couple little leaves of broccoli. Those would be yummy too. And then here we have some mustard greens, and you can see these are starting to shoot up flowers too. I think all this heat's got everybody really excited. These are a little bit more tough than the lettuces over there. They're super nutritious, and you can braise them, you can cook with them, but you can also use them raw in a salad. They've got like a little bit of a mustardy taste to them. So they got a little bit of a kick. Taste that? It's a little bit like hot. So it tastes like wasabi a little bit or something like that. And now, see if there's anything else we want to grab. So these are our garlics. We took all the scapes off them. I was taking a peek to see if there's any scapes. I don't see any. This is unintentional, but also really yummy in a salad. I'm just going to grab a few of these. So this is purslane, and this is something you can find around parking lots and stuff. It often grows in like poor soils, so sandy soils and stuff. And it looks like a little cactus almost, and it's really yummy. It's sort of like very mild, and a little bit sweet, and totally edible. So I'm just grabbing a couple of pieces of that. Here's one. And that's a weed. It needs to come out of our garden anyway. It's competing with our garlic, but we'll put it in a salad today. Here's another piece of it right there. Let me see. Oh, bring the camera down here. So this is a good example. So you can see these pieces here. This is what it would look like if you find that. I mean, this is something that grows all over the city. You can go to practically any parking lot and walk to the edge of it, and you can find this. And it's really yummy. You want to wash it really well, but it's really delicious. So that's good. We've got here peppers, tomatoes, cucumber plants, and onions. And none of those are ready to eat yet. Eggplant are going to come. So we're going to walk right by and skip all of those. Notice one of my zucchinis is rotting, and I'm just going to yank that out of there so it doesn't. And I'm going to see if we have a summer squash or a zucchini. So when you're taking these off, you can use scissors or you can do a gentle twist, but you don't want to like rip at the plant. Again, if you've been gardening for a while, you probably know these things, but if you're just starting, it might be helpful. Just looking around, see if we've got anybody hiding. I always have zucchini that are hiding, and I don't see them until they get to be so big. They're sort of tough and not even that enjoyable. But I don't see any today. So maybe we'll just do the summer squash. You want to pull this guy? Yeah, sure. Let's pull that one. It's a little one. It's nice. That'll be yummy.
There's something right here.
Do you see something over here?
No.
Oh yeah. Well, this is fun. That's a bigger squash. I don't think that is a. That one I think is going to be a spaghetti squash. Pretty exciting. So we'll get that one a little later in the summer. So we have here zucchini and summer squash. All right, should we head inside? I think on the way we're going to pick some herbs. So I have here a variety of basil. I'm just going to pick a couple sprigs of that. And I've got another variety of basil here as well. These are two different basils. Oh, smell them. This one's like a lemony smell. Do you smell that? And that one's like a sweet basil. So these are two different basils. And look at those, they're almost ready. Those little tomatoes. Should we pull these ones early? They'll be a little bit sour, but they'll be yummy. We have some cherry tomatoes coming. All right. And then we're gonna swing by the herb garden too. So I know you guys are tuning into the show to watch us cook, but this is the first step of that. Today's been a little bit of a busy day, so we haven't even cleaned up the yard or anything for the show, so you're just catching us as it is. All right, bye. I was thinking we'd get a little bit of mint, because you might like that, right? Ooh, should we get some flowers, probably, huh? So, I don't think I ever really worked much with flowers or used them in the kitchen until a couple of years ago, and we had some edible flowers, and I started throwing them in things, and I just I'm totally hooked now. So whenever we have this time of year, we always try to grow edible flowers, and we try to include them in just about anything we can. Here, Vi, you want to keep carrying this guy? And we got some parsley here. We'll take a few sprigs of that. Now the idea with a lot of these herbs is I want them to be like, I want them to be in a small quantity. I don't want them to dominate. I want them like sort of at a low threshold. And when you use them that way, we're going to add a little bit of sugar later to our salad dressing, and we're going to have the same idea there. We don't want the salad dressing to taste like sugar. But if we add a little bit of sugar, it's going to make that salad dressing taste a million times better than without. Over here we have borage. This one is awesome for edible flowers. It has these, it just grows these like all summer long, and they're these almost fluorescent little flowers. This one's very happy this year. I think it's so happy it's been like growing these stalks that have been too heavy and dropped. Either that or Snorri's been trying to eat them. We found Snorri, one of our two dogs, out here in the garden eating flowers. But I don't think he was eating the edible ones. Thankfully, he wasn't eating the thistle. All right, so we got some borage flowers there, really pretty. And then the last thing is for you, Violet, I thought we'd get some mint. Violet loves anything that has mint, so we have a little bit of mint there. All right, so that is a really good starting place. I think we can head inside. Is the door open to the kitchen, Violet? Do you know? Nope. All right, we'll go around. So now we are actually in the kitchen, and we'll get started making the salad. The way, I'll just talk about salads and dressings for a minute. So let's start with salad. So the way I think about salads is in components, and I'll usually try to start a salad the way we did, like seeing what's available. So this time of year, there's lots and lots of greens coming out of the garden. So that meant going out to our garden and seeing what we could find. And other times of year, it might mean looking at what's at a farmer's market or what's in the CSA or what have you, right? I think
I just need to plug it. I just need to plug it in.
Yeah, just
It's a low battery.
there. The phone was running low on battery. That's my fault. All my devices are running out of batteries because I've been talking on them like all day long lately, trying to get the restaurants restarted. So I start out usually by looking at what's available. I can't emphasize enough, like starting with really beautiful greens makes a really beautiful salad. Sadly, like that sounds like the most simple thing to say, but I would say most salads that people eat are starting with horrible greens and trying to make something edible. And I think if you start with really beautiful greens, you'll end up with something a lot more interesting and delicious. Something that your kids even want to eat, and something that you want second helpings of. So that's what we're aiming for here. It's like a salad that's not punishment, a salad that you're looking forward to and you can't wait to finish. So I'm going to put here greens, and you saw me get herbs as well. And some salads we want a lot of herbs, most salads we want like just a little bit of herbs. And then there's another thing that I think of in this sort of top bracket is flowers. So you saw we grabbed some edible flowers. So these might be the things. And as you're thinking about the greens, you know, you might want to think about what is sweet, what's bitter. You might want to think about you know, other flavors like mustard and other flavors that you can find in some greens. You may want to think a little bit about how tough the greens are, or crunchy, or tender. And so I think balancing these things, if you have something that's like, if you have a whole salad and the whole thing is tough, it might not be enjoyable, but you might be able to work in some greens that are a little more tough with some others that are more tender. So I think those are some things to think about to keep it all balanced. Next thing we're going to think a little bit about is we're going to think about vegetables. And for that, I'll usually look at what are the great vegetables that are available right now, and we'll go from there to looking at like pickled things, things with brine. So this would be like olives, pickles, things like that, and then we'll look a little bit at crunchy toppings. So we'll look at crunchy things too. And that could be nuts, that could be croutons. Violet, I was thinking, I think nuts would be good today. We'll make croutons another day. Yeah? Alright. But you can have a lot of fun with what it is you bring in there that's crunchy. It could be caramelized onions or fried onions. I've been getting a lot of mushrooms from my boxes from Clover lately because one of the add-ons, the mushroom box, and I keep adding it on. It's filled with mushrooms from Rhode Island Mushroom Company. And I've been getting a lot of shiitake mushrooms, so I've been caramelizing those, and they become these like crunchy little treats that are really, really yummy in the salad. So these are the different like groupings of things I would think about, and with those we can make something that's really exciting to eat and really hearty and really yummy. And we'll talk in a little bit about making a dressing later. Does that sound good? All right, should we get started with this palette? So we're going to just wash these, and when you wash any vegetables, you want to submerge it all the way. So we want to bring that water up over everything. And I think a lot of times people just wash things like this and it really doesn't work very well. You can do that and this and it really doesn't work very well at all. One reason it doesn't work is because you're not going to get the dirt off. And the second reason it doesn't work is you'll leave a lot of water on the lettuce, and the water will keep the salad dressing from attaching to the lettuce. So what we want to do is, the salad dressing has a lot of oil on it. Oil and water don't like each other. So you want to get the leaf pretty dry so that the salad dressing can adhere to it in a nice even way. And that's part of what's going to make a salad really, really yummy when you're eating. So we're going to let this fill up all the way here. And we've just got everything in here all in one batch. And now I'm just going to gently, like with open hand, I'm going to gently agitate it just to shake off any dirt that's on there. And, all right. And now, when I take this out of here, I'm going to take a peek at the water. And there's a couple of these have some rot on them, so I'm going to pull those out. I'm going to take a peek at the water, and I'm going to see if it has any dirt in it. And this has quite a bit of dirt in it. So what I'll usually do, just to be careful, is I will clean that out and get rid of all that dirt. I'll put this back, and we'll fill it up again. And while that's filling up, let's grab some vegetables that we might enjoy. We have the zucchini already, and I have some shell peas here, which I thought could be really yummy. And let's see, we have some onions. We have some radishes. Oh, we should have looked to see if there were any radishes in the garden. In the garden? Yeah, I should have. I didn't think about that.
I saw a big one.
Go get it, Violet. Thank you. All right, so check in on this. I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to gently agitate this. Okay. And then I'm going to lift it. Let's see if there's any dirt left in there. And there's still some dirt left in there, so I'm just going to do it again. So my method on washing this stuff is like I have some people in my household that if they bite into a salad and they have any like dirt or sand in it, they won't eat any of the salad. And so it's really important for us to have no sand or dirt in a salad if we're going to have people eat it. So this is the surefire method to make sure there's nothing in there that's like sandy or dirty. So we'll let that go a second time. And now, while that's going, I'll get a bowl out, and we're going to prepare some of these vegetables. These are really, the vegetables I picked today are really just the vegetables that are available this time of year. I would not make this salad like this at a different time of the year. I wouldn't make a salad like this in the middle of the winter or something like that. I would make something else. And so I think as this show goes on, we'll try to make sure we're making shows at different seasons so we can have different examples of things. This is like a late spring, or well, actually we're summer now, aren't we? Early summer salad. All right, so let's check that out now. Finally, I'm getting it with no dirt or sand at all whatsoever. So you see that took a couple washings, and now we have all the greens here. And we're gonna dry these off, but first of all, I gotta get the heavy things out of here. So you got a radish, awesome. Do you wanna wash that guy off? All right, so we had a couple veggies. Wow. Now, we started out with our garden. I know that, you know, I think gardening is really fun. Even if you're in an apartment, you may be able to do potted plants. When I used to live in a condo in Cambridge, we made a pirate garden. I noticed that the condo association, they hired like gardeners that gardened all like the flower pots and everything, or the flower plantings and everything around the building. And I started picking up, I didn't have room for a garden. I started picking up like an herb or something like that, but like a seedling. And I would just plant it somewhere among all the mulch and everything else. And they would usually just take care of, I mean, it would usually grow up and it would look like it was supposed to be there. So they would water it and everything else. So we had like a little pirate herb garden going on. Lots of different ways you can grow veggies. There's also like community areas to grow vegetables if you don't have your own space. But if you're not gardening, of course you can make really beautiful salads as well. You may just want to make sure you're spending a little bit of effort on thinking how are you going to source what you're going to use. So getting involved with the CSA. Clover has CSA pickups. This year has been a little different than most, but there's a really wonderful way to support farmers. There are lots of other ways to support farmers right now and to get yourself some really great vegetables. So if you look at this, there's a lot of water that just came out of that. And that's our first spin. So what we're going to do now is dump that water out and put this here again and put this top on again. And we're going to spin it another time. And in restaurants, often once you finish getting your greens prepared, you may lay them out on sheet pans for a little while to let them air dry. We're obviously not going to do that. And again, we had some water come out of that, but it looks a lot more dry. So if you look at these leaves now, they're actually looking pretty dry, which is what we want. We just want to make sure that they are dry enough that the salad dressing is going to be able to adhere to them. And then Violet, you could do this next part. I'm going to cut some vegetables while I'm doing it. You do this next part. What I'm going to have you do is you're going to take these, and that piece of lettuce wouldn't feel very great to put in your mouth. So you're just going to take your hand and you're going to just tear off pieces of it just to make this a little bit smaller. So that's like a little more bite-sized, okay? We're just going to do that with all these lettuces, okay? Let's see what we've got here. We've got a radish. This looks awesome. And we've got some radish greens, and we can include these in a salad. Now, radish greens sometimes have a little bit of a prickly quality to them, especially if they've just pulled out of the ground. But we can minimize that. And they're also pretty tough, and I'd say a little bit bitter. So they're not like the sweetest greens, but they're super nutritious, and I don't want to throw it away. So you see, I folded that around, and I'm going to cut these with my knife into very fine cuttings. And so we'll just throw that into the salad. Now, if we put in the whole leaf, somebody's going to get that leaf in their mouth and not enjoy it at all. But the way we did that, it's going to mix in with everything else. It's actually going to enhance it or add to it rather than be something you wouldn't want. So let's do some radishes here. These are called hakurai turnips. These are like little radishes, little sweet Japanese radishes, like summer radishes. Or summer turnips, I think they're called sometimes. I think the turnips and radishes are all sort of the same thing. These greens, I would use them if they were in a little better shape, but they're a little bit damaged, and I don't think they're going to taste so great the way they are right now. And you notice I'm washing these without submerging them in that whole colander, but that's because they're like hard, and I know I can rub the surfaces clean. So they're a little. This is like an exception to that rule of submerging everything underwater. These are really pretty. I think they have this like length to them, so I'm going to work with that and just go ahead and cut them long like that. And I think when you're making a salad, you've got a chance to make something that's really pretty. And there's lots of research about how we eat with our eyes as much as anything else, and I think this is a nice opportunity to make all these vegetables and greens really exciting. I thought I cut myself for a second there, but it was just a piece of red radish. That's good. Sometimes with sharp knives you cut yourself and you didn't even realize it. Alright, so I have these out and the one Violet just got me. So I'm going to take this root off. That one's really tough. It's like hard to eat. And with this, I'm just going to cut it like that. How's that going, sweetie? It's looking awesome. So we'll put some of these vegetables in here with the greens. Looks really great. And should we put some of these? These are like green onions, but they're actually red, so I don't know what you call them. Because I think of red onions as something different than this one. It's like young red onions. And we're gonna clean these all the way off. I was just cleaning up the ends there. Where's the cutting board? What's that, Steve? Oh yeah, so it's the exact same thing. Just break it up into smaller pieces and then put it down in there. Awesome. All right. Now this end is a little more tough, so I'm gonna take the small pieces on that. Maybe little oniony pieces. And then this end is like bigger greens. These I'm going to cut them on a bias. Make a little pieces. Oh, I can smell that mint vine. It smells real. Alright. And one thing you'll find is like, I think salads can be a lot more satisfying as you pack them full of vegetables. So we tend to make salads that have quite a few vegetables in them, even if they are working with greens. And I'm thinking about what size pieces here we'll take, and will be like able to be mixed in with other things on the fork. So those are some of the summer squash, and then I have these two little cherry tomatoes, our very first. That's sort of a treat. Just gonna. What do you think about it? Do you want to taste one?
Sure. We have cucumbers in the fridge.
It's really good. All right, that's looking awesome. All right, so we're making really good progress. Violet's doing a beautiful job building the salad. You can see all these different greens in there. The mustard greens, the red leaf lettuce, the green leaf lettuce. You can see some of these vegetables that we've been adding in, which are all the vegetables we're finding around our house this time of year. And now, I would say we are like going through this list. We've got the greens, check. We've got the herbs, check. We've got the vegetables. Now, I'm gonna think a little bit like, what is going to taste good with these sort of vegetables, and I think that will inform what kind of dressing I do, and that will also inform other things I add in. And I think that these are like things that will taste good, like a little bit lighter. Actually, let's add, I almost forgot, let's add some of these shell peas. You want to add some cucumbers too? We can do that if you want. That'd be yummy with all this. Alright. I'm going to just take this from you, Vi. I'm just going to go like that, okay? And so the shell peas, and I want to dry these guys off too. So you can see the water just came off of those. So these are yeah, these are made to shell, so they're made to open up and eat the inside. Sometimes you want to eat the whole thing, and sometimes you don't want to. So I'm just tasting it. These shells are actually pretty tough, so I'm not going to we're gonna just open them up like that then. I think that they're gonna be a lot more enjoyable. So sometimes the greens are less tough. In that case, I would just chop them up and just add them in that way. But this time we're just gonna add in the peas on the inside. And I had some chickpeas there, which I was thinking would be good in the salad, but I'm actually thinking these peas are gonna be really yummy. I wouldn't say we always add beans to salads, but we often do. We'll often have some beans in the fridge, and I think some lentils or some beans in a salad are really awesome. So Lucia was asking me the other day, she's like, what are some tips? Because she wanted to send an email out to everybody about this episode. And she's like, what are some tips and things you care about salads? And one of the things I was telling her about is I think that so yeah, you start with really good greens. You've already heard that from me. You gotta like dry the greens really well. You should work with what's in season and make sure all your ingredients are really tasty on their own. And think about how you put them together. But one of the, I also think you should have a lot of fun with whatever you put on it that's crunchy. If you're gonna make croutons, just make them with full butter or full oil. Don't worry about it; they're just a small part of the salad. But one of the things I was telling her about is I feel like there's this approach to salads which is like, what's the protein, what's the protein, what's the protein? And I think it's just like recreating the classic American plate again, which is like in culinary schools for years and years, chefs were taught in America to like start with their protein, which meant meat, and then surround it with a certain amount of other things. And I think people have carried that exact same idea to salads, and I think as a result, there are a lot of salads that are either like platforms for the protein, which is the meat, or they are salads that are, or the rest of the salad, maybe it's like sort of a painful thing you think you need to get through. And I think that's too bad. And I think salads can be really, really yummy and something to look forward to. I think they can be super filling and nutritious without being built around a particular protein. There's no American, as much as people would like to believe, or as much as certain people would like to believe, there's nobody in this country who has like protein deficiency. I mean, nobody's dying because they haven't had enough protein. We all get enough protein, and we can just relax about it. Our kids get enough protein, adults get enough protein, and so something like this, there's protein in these peas. They're like really dense with protein, and a lot of these other vegetables we put in here also have protein. Protein can be really filling, and it can play a nice role that way. But something like just the addition of some beans can do a really good job. I cooked up those chickpeas because I thought they were really like neutral and would be yummy with some of these delicate flavors we have here. But as you can see, I've sort of decided to go with the peas instead. So these guys are both beans, they're different kinds of beans. Chickpeas actually look a lot like this when they're fresh. The last few here, these ones look a little bit more tender, and they're like less developed. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get those last little peas out of there. Okay, so we are just about done assembling that, and now yeah, you can throw some flowers on, sweetie, go for it. So these nasturtium are really beautiful. You can put them in their hole, you can pick them apart and scatter the petals. I think it's pretty to have a combination of those things in there. The borage is great just to drop it in there, and then we have here little pansies. All those are going to be really pretty on that. I almost forgot about these guys. I'm just going to grab their greens, and we're going to scatter those around too. We'll put a little bit of their stalks in there. And Violet's done a great job working the different herbs in, but in small pieces. So it's going to be really fun when you take a little bite and you get a little burst of that herb. So we're getting to a really nice place on this. You don't get to see all the colors in the light of our kitchen, but when we go outside, that's just going to light up, and some of those flowers and stuff will almost be neon. Should we move now to making the dressing?
Sure.
All right, maybe what we should do in between though is make a pita pizza. What do you think? So I've been trying to work in little extras into the show, things to do with the Clover at-home boxes. So if you haven't gotten one yet, we're selling boxes that help you supplement what you're doing at home. And they include meals that don't require very much prep at all. And they're super yummy, and they're an important part of us getting back on our feet. So far they've been really popular, which we're super excited about. I'm sure some of the people watching today have them in their houses. We increased to 3 pickups. We started out with like a limit, and they were all selling out, so we found a way to make more boxes, and we increased, so we have 3 days a week now. We have Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday pickups. We also have delivery on those days. So if you haven't tried them out yet, you might check them out. And the little extra we're going to show you right now is if you have extra pita bread from one of those boxes, because we give you a bunch of bags of pita in most of the boxes, you might use it to make little pita pizzas. So that's what we're going to make right now. Vi, do you want to run down to the big freezer in the basement and grab a bag of pita from there?
Sure.
Thank you. You're being an awesome helper today. Thanks so much, Vi. Violet's in a good mood, but a little bit tired because we went surfing this morning. The surf was really good. So Blue and Violet and I went down for like an early morning surf in Narragansett, and it was awesome. It was really, really fun. Alright, so we've got the salad just about ready. Violet's getting some pita. I think we're going to need to top that. Let me grab some. I have here some tomatoes. And we'll need some cheese. Awesome. Do you want to shred a little bit of cheese?
Sure.
Alright. So these are frozen, you'll notice. And we just got them a day ago, 2 days ago. But it's a hard thing to do when you get this beautiful fresh pita. What I'd suggest is whatever you're going to eat that first day, go ahead and enjoy it. There's no better way to eat the pita than when it's like as fresh as possible. And we bake these overnight, so when we get them to you, they're like hours old. So whatever you're going to eat that first day, whatever you're not going to eat that first day, I would recommend you just freeze. And it's painful to take the beautiful fresh pita and put it in the freezer, but the earlier you freeze it, the better quality it will be when you thaw it out. And so if you take that really fresh pita and you freeze it, it's going to maintain a lot of those really beautiful qualities. And what we're going to do with these are like hard as pucks right now. I'm going to just put them in this oven that I've already preheated. The oven's at hot, it's like 450 degrees because we're going to make pizza in there. But I'm going to put those pita in and they're going to thaw out a little bit. Meanwhile, Violet's getting us some cheese to go on our pizzas. It's going to be really yummy. And what else would we like on our pizzas today, Violet? Mushrooms? Yeah. Mushrooms are not Violet's favorite, but we're still going to work them on. We won't put them on all of them, don't worry. I see your face a little bit afraid. We'll just put on a couple. I don't know if we make olives. Actually, I think we do. Like cannoli olives. Good call. No, maybe not. We don't. We have some capers. You want some capers?
Sure.
Capers are yummy. So I'm going to open up this tomato can. This is just whole peeled tomatoes. Don't buy the ones with basil in them. Don't know why they do that. That's probably good, right? And then I'm gonna just these tomatoes are whole tomatoes, and I'm just gonna throw them in the blender. All right, so that's our super simple tomato sauce for the pizza. We're gonna put a little bit of salt on that, and that's gonna be ready to go. I'm going to check in on the pitas because they might be ready. Almost, not quite. I was just touching them to feel if they're spongy, and they were not quite yet. That looks awesome. Would you do me a favor, Vi, and you can just leave it right there. We'll just put it right in. Would you get some Parmesan
Sure.
from the fridge?
Yeah.
Or Romano. Actually, do the Romano. Let's do that. So this is the mushroom box from the Clover CSA, from the Clover Box program, and this comes from Rhode Island Mushrooms, and they also do a CSA, a mushroom CSA. And these are blue oyster mushrooms right here, and the way you play with them is you just sort of grab them and peel them apart a little bit. We don't want the end of that root, so I'm going to cut that off, but I'm just separating those guys. Probably don't need quite that many. Let's do that. Now this root part I don't want, so I'm just going to clip that off of the mushrooms. You can see, there we go. And then these mushrooms are really best, I think, if you just tear them apart with your hands. So you don't even need a knife for this job. And we'll throw these on top of a few of the pita pizzas. That looks pretty good. And the other thing I was thinking would be fun to do on the pita pizzas would be a little bit of zucchini. All right. See how these pita are doing? Okay, they're getting there. And we're not trying to cook them all the way right now. I'm just trying to get them hot enough that I can that they're not frozen, because I want to cut them apart. If you had pita that were not frozen, you don't even have to put them in the oven to start with. It's really just about thawing it quickly. All right, so I'm just gonna cut the pita open like that, and we're gonna put that on a pan. It's hard, you're wondering about it. Turn it around to the other side, the really fine side. Yeah, right there. And then try starting with that tip. It's a little easier. You get some leverage on it. See that? All right. So if you're making these at home, you can use whatever cheese you have, whatever tomato sauce or not tomato sauce, whatever toppings you would like. And really, there's no limits on this. I would recommend putting a little bit of oil on these before you put the tomato on them. That's going to keep them from getting too soggy. So I'm just going to rub that around a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and take some tomato sauce. And this is just the whole tomato, can of whole tomatoes. And I just blitzed them in the blender for a second there. Okay, it's looking awesome. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of salt. And just sprinkling a little bit of salt on those to help that tomato out. And Violet's done an awesome job with cheese. We'll just go ahead and sprinkle our cheese on. That looks great, Violet. It's good. I'm going to get a little board scraper. That's good. I think you can call it a win. Was it a little easier with the smaller one setting?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna. Okay. And now we're gonna go ahead and don't worry. I know what you're worrying about. You're worrying I'm gonna put it on all of them, right? I'll put the mushrooms on some of them. We'll put some zucchini. Want some? You want help with this?
Sure.
Here. Go ahead. And these just little fun early summer zucchini. Super. All right, so this is the pita pizza. So there's not much to it. Oh, Brooke was pointing out that we didn't put the capers on it yet. We all love
10%. I got.
We all love capers, so we're gonna just sprinkle some capers on these. All right, excellent. We get capers on there, and so you can make these any way you want. But the whole idea is you just cut the pitas in half, put tomato sauce and cheese, and pop it in the oven. I like these in a pretty hot oven. We're running at 450 right now with convection, so that's a nice hot oven, and those will cook up pretty quickly. I sort of feel like we should make those last ones too. Maybe when we're done filming the show, we can make peppers. All right, so we've got one thing left to do, which is the dressing for the salad. And the way I usually make dressings, there's some different ratios people use for dressings. I think for a lot of people they do like a 2-to-1 oil to vinegar. I tend to make dressings with a little more vinegar than oil, so I might even reverse that ratio. I may do like a half and half oil, half vinegar, or I might do 2 parts vinegar to 1 part oil. I'm going to show you how I approach this. I usually make salad dressings in a jar like this, and that makes it really easy for me to shake it. It makes it easy for me to put it back in the fridge if I make extra. And a lot of times when I'm making a dressing, I'll make a lot of it so that I have more for later. So let's see. Let's show you. All right. So these are some different vinegars. The vinegar you're using will have a huge impact on how your salad tastes. So I'm just going to show you 2 different options. So somewhere I have a rice vinegar. This is a red wine vinegar that I made at home. It's been here for a long time. These are cider vinegar. I think that they have a different impact on how the salad tastes. So I might go the cider vinegar route if I was making a really, really simple salad, or if I was playing with anything fruity in the salad. I love cider vinegar, but there's a pretty strong taste to it, and it doesn't go with everything. The one I made myself, this red wine vinegar, has like a lot of umami. It's really fun. This is a sherry vinegar, which I really like sherry vinegar a lot. And maybe that would even be good today. Maybe we should do sherry vinegar. This one hasn't been opened, so we'll just open that up and get going with that. So we're going to bring this up to like about there. That's a good amount. Like I said, I tend to make like a vinegar heavy dressing, and I'm going to use olive oil. I have a large jar of olive oil. It came from one of these. Like if you can find a high quality virgin olive oil, is definitely the way to buy it. And this was $30, but it's a full gallon, and it's a really beautiful, tasty olive oil. So I would recommend like buying a big thing of it, especially if you've got room to store it, because the alternative is that you are spending a lot of money on little teeny jars. All right, so that's going to be about 50-50, which I think will be really nice for the salad. And now, I think we should work some garlic into that. Vi, you want to see if there's some garlics over there? I think that we have some.
Yeah.
We do? So you could do garlics, you could do onion, you could do chives, you could do shallots are really beautiful. So a lot of different directions you could go, depending on what you have available. And but you're going to want something oniony. And alternatively, like if you don't have fresh garlic like this, you can have dried garlic, which is great in salad dressings. Dried garlic, dried onion powder, granulated onion. They're all really, really awesome tools when you're making salad dressings. I think some dressings are much better that way. And we should do a show someday where we go through a whole bunch of different salad dressings, because there are so many awesome dressings that are really easy to make. What we're making today would just be considered a simple vinaigrette, just a vinegar and oil dressing. And I'm going to shake this, but I'm not going to fully emulsify it. So if I put this in my powerful blender over there, droplets of oil would get really evenly suspended in the vinegar, and it would get thick actually, and that would be more of an emulsified dressing. We're not going to do that today, but we should do that in some later episodes. We should do some things like that. So today we're just going to make a really simple vinaigrette. I got plenty of garlic here. You can see that's like 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. If you don't like garlic that much, I wouldn't do as much as this, but our family likes it a lot. This is enough garlic that it will have a really delicious flavor. It's also will have a little bit of a spiciness from this garlic. Not a lot, but a little bit pepperiness, because there's enough of it in there for that. And I smashed it with my knife, you saw that, and then I'm cutting it into small pieces too. So I did both those things, and that's going to get me the flavor I want out of the garlic. So I didn't just mince it up. I started out by smashing it, so it's been like crushed and then minced. So we get all those little pieces in there. There they go. They get sticky when they're fresh. So we've got garlic in there, we've got oil and vinegar in there. We're going to put some pepper in there. So get some peppercorns. Do you want to do this part?
Sure.
All right, you want to come over here and just grind, and throw that in there. I'm just replenishing my salt, and I realized my little salt cellar was out. How's that going, Vi? Is it good? Grinding up in there. For salt, this is going to be a 1/4 of a teaspoon, and we'll mix that up and taste it, but I think that's probably a good place to start. I'm also going to add a little bit of sugar, and not much, so, you know, in this case, it's like, I don't know, this is maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. I often add a little bit of sugar to dressings, but I'll try never to add too much. Let me see how that's going. Oh, you're doing a really good job. You want to put it in there?
Sure.
Alright.
Actually, just double.
Just dump the whole thing. It's great. And we have some dried oregano here. So we'll put that in there as well. You can put any dried herb. I just had like a little bit of that left. I think that's probably going to be really yummy. Let's add a little bit of more umami. So sometimes I will play around with different things like miso, anything fermented. We'll add some nice umami. I think today maybe we'll do, this will be really nice. So if you go way back, let's see, March 25th, I guess is when we made these. This is like an earlier Clover, or an earlier In Air's Kitchen episode right after Clover had shut down. We pickled things, and one of the kinds of pickles we made was shoyu pickles, which is just like soy sauce. There's turnips in here, I believe. So these would be like last year's turnips. It would be the same kind as these, but these are like the fresh ones, and these were the ones that were stored from last year. And so there's a lot of flavor in the soy sauce. I'm going to add a little bit of it in. I'm not going to add a lot. And that's going to be bring a really nice background or like broaden the flavor. The idea is I don't want this to taste like the turnips. I don't want it to taste like soy sauce. But adding that flavor in there is going to like broaden the flavor of the dressing. So I'm giving this a good shake. This is part of why it's nice to make it in a jar like this. This kind, like I said, it's not going to be a stable suspension, so you're going to want to shake it before you use it. And I'll put it in the fridge, and then we'll bring it out, let it come to room temperature, and shake it before we use it the next time. I'm going to get behind you, sorry. Just to get a spoon to taste it. So I'm going to take a little taste of this. See what it tastes like. You want to taste it?
Sure.
So, what do you think?
It's good.
I think it'd be good with a little bit more sweetness in it. What do you think about that? So we're gonna add a little bit. Again, we don't want it to taste sugary or too sweet, but we want it to be really nice and balanced. So I think that will be really yummy. And I will wait to put that on for when we're going to eat the salad. Because I put it on right now, the vinegar will start wilting all the greens. So my favorite way is to set it all up like this. When it's dinner time, we will pour the dressing on, the whole salad, and then I'll toss it, and then we'll eat it. So just like that. You want to taste it again after the added sugar? All right, that's a great idea, buddy. Let's see if we did a good job. You know, I'm just thinking like of things that I might like in that dressing, and I feel like I would like a little bit of pepper. I'm gonna have to be careful about this because clementine's very sensitive to spice. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of chipotle in there. So it's like a little bit of spice, but not too much. I think that's gonna be great. I think we should have. The last thing I'm wanting to add to the salad are some nuts. So this will be our crunchiness for today. Now, I'm gonna these are whole nuts. You want me to taste it? I think it's really yummy. Do you? Yeah. It's getting to that place where it's like, it's making me salivate a little bit. It's like making my mouth get wet, which is really nice. It'll actually like creates better digestion if you salivate than just like inhaling food. But it's also, it has this like quality, I want another bite. And I always think what we're aiming for with food is to make it so you want to eat more of it, because it's like that's when you get to that place that's really delicious. So we're just crushing these almonds. You want to just crush them a little bit into smaller chunks. Now, Clementine has braces right now, and so it's hard for her when there are things like nuts. So what we're going to do with these nuts is we crush them up. We're just going to set them on the side, and we can then sprinkle them on our own individual plates. They're going to be a really yummy addition to that salad. I think it's going to go really well with those flavors. But this way, Clementine will be able to eat it without a problem. Now let me take a peek at our pizzas. So these look really yummy to me. But do you want to see if you can find a spatula over there?
Sure.
So I'm getting a serving board to throw these on. See one? It might be in the dishwasher, but oh, there's one right there. So those look awesome. The kids are going to really love these. We were playing cards games the other night, and we made pita pizzas as a snack, and we just like inhaled them. So the kids have been dreaming about them since, and I thought this might be a fun thing to share on the show. All right. And I'm even thinking we probably should make another batch. What do you think, Violet? So what we'll do with these is we'll just cut them up into smaller pieces. Yeah, well, don't burn your mouth like I did the other time. We are going to wait for these to cool a little bit. But there we've got some pita pizzas. We have our salad is ready to go. We have our salad dressing that we're going to put on the salad. When you dress the salad, you want to put, you want to go a little bit short initially, and then toss it around, and then if you're not used, if you haven't gotten great at dressing salads, which I say for me it took like probably 5 or 10 years of practicing dressing salads, I would start without too much, and then toss it around and even taste a piece and see how it tastes, and then add a little bit more. But I wouldn't dump too much salad dressing on first because it just becomes soggy and sort of gross. Probably for this one, we will probably use, you know, it's 12 ounces to here, so we have about 14 ounces of salad dressing in here. So this must be about 7 ounces of olive oil, 7 ounces of vinegar. I think what we'll probably use is about maybe 2 ounces, 2.5 ounces to dress that salad. So there'll probably be, you know, a good 3/4 of this dressing remaining after we eat that salad. I think that's all we've got to go through. With any questions? All right, let's just check really quickly, see if anybody had any burning questions before we close it out for tonight. Whoops. Okay, let's see. live now. So, uh-oh, Violet, you're so smart. Turn off the volume. Okay, here we go. It looks like people are talking to one another, but I don't see any particular questions. So, thanks everybody for joining. I hope that some people enjoy the pita pizza at home. We've been getting awesome pictures from people. If I was a little more organized and I had more time, I would have gotten those together so we could have shared them on the show. But people have been sending us their creations, which are really, really fun. We're going to keep doing these, I think, at least once a week for now. Maybe some weeks we'll work into, but there's a lot going on. We just opened Burlington, Kendall, and the Hub. That's the East Cambridge location. We opened all of those on Monday. We're going to open Westford and Sudbury early next week, and then right after the 4th of July, we plan to open Longwood Medical Area and Back Bay on Boylston Street, and Hi-Fi, the one in Central Square. So we're working our way toward, and I think we're going to open Harvard Square that week as well. So lots going on to make all that happen. It's awesome to start to see people coming by the restaurants. Thank you, everybody, and thanks for tuning into the show. We'll have another one next week. Nancy, bye.
Bye.